I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's talk about Mueller, July 17th. He's going to testify, right?
Yep, absolutely.
He's been subpoenaed to testify.
He's been subpoenaed to testify.
July 17, yep. Exactly. Well, let's talk about it. Here's the headline from the Associated Press, and then I'll just let you take it away, Alexander. The headline goes as such. Democrats hope Mueller testimony will have profound impact. Alexander.
Well, it may have a profound impact, but not in the way the Democrats think. I mean, I've been listening to commentary about this today. Alan Dershowitz, who is, of course, as he points out himself, a liberal Democrat, thinks the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot by calling Mueller to testify. Lindsey Graham, who is not obviously a liberal Democrat, but a rather conservative Republican, but previously a critic of Donald Trump's, and I would remind everybody, a very, very experienced lawyer, thinks it will backfire on the Democrats. And of course, Mueller himself was warning the Democrats against calling him to testify and was basically saying that he didn't want to testify. So I don't see this by the Democrats as at all a good idea. To be absolutely clear about this, Mueller has said that he's not going to go beyond what he said in his report. What he said in his report was that there was no collusion between Donald Trump and the Russians. There was no conspiracy between Donald Trump and the Russians. There was no collusion or conspiracy between Donald Trump's campaign and the Russians. There were all sorts of meetings, but those meetings didn't arrive at anything. And on the obstruction issue, he, as I said, engaged in this long, in my opinion, outrageous discussion about whether or not Donald Trump had obstructed justice. But he's not going to say that Donald Trump obstructed justice, because he didn't say that in his report, and I don't see him saying it before the House the House Judiciary Committee. What he is going to do, or find himself having to do, is answer some very difficult questions from the Republicans, who are all going to be primed to ask him questions about his own investigation and his own failure to follow up on certain points that we have discussed at great length in our videos, such as why didn't he speak to Julian Assange? Why didn't he look at the DNC servers? Why he didn't follow up on various possible line of inquiries? When did he know?
When did he know
that collusion did not take place? Because all the indications are that he knew that before the end of 2017. And of course, on the obstruction case, how any kind of obstruction case can possibly be argued when there was no crime, no underlying crime of collusion or conspiracy, and no actual obstruction, because there is no evidence anywhere in the report that Mueller's investigation was impeded in any way. On the contrary, as Mueller himself has admitted, as the Department of Justice has said, as William Barr has said, and Mueller agrees he was right about this, the President, Donald Trump, cooperated in every way. He never exercised privilege, legal privilege or executive privilege. He allowed Mueller to see everything. He answered all of Mueller's questions. The only thing he didn't do was agree to a sit-down meeting with Mueller, and he has every right not to do that, and that cannot be called obstruction.
Would Mueller be... would he have any worries about perjury? Like, say he does. Because I'm trying to figure it out. Why would he do this? You know, he said when he made a statement, he says, my testimony, this is it. But this statement, this report is my testimony, I'm out. And then he blamed everything on Russia. Okay, he said Russia, Russia, Russia. And then he says, in my testimony, I'm out. He gave, the establishment media some red meat, saying obstruction. He didn't want to talk. He said, maybe there was some obstruction, whatever. He did that as well. So he gave them some red meat as well. But he basically said, I'm out. So now he's going to be July 17 in Congress, and he's going to be testifying. Does he run the threat of perjury if he does decide, if Trump derangement syndrome somehow gets the better of him, which could happen? I mean, it's possible.
Anybody who gives evidence before one of the House committees, one of the congressional committees, is at risk of perjury if they say something which they know to be untrue. But the reason Mueller has agreed to come before the House Judiciary Committee is because he was subpoenaed, and he was afraid, I think, that if he defied those subpoenas, he would be facing contempt proceedings. I mean, I should say that, of course, if Donald Trump and William Barr decide to exercise privilege, I suspect they can probably prevent Mueller from coming and giving evidence because, of course, he would be doing so as somebody who's worked for the Justice Department. And it may very well be that Barr could, in fact, prevent him coming. I don't think he will, by the way, but I mean that's an option.
But he can plead the Fifth, though, can't he?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
of course he can.
To any questions.
I mean, he can refuse to answer questions, and I think that's entirely. I don't think he can plead the Fifth because he's not personally being accused of any crime. But I think he can just simply come along and refuse to answer questions. He'll simply say, "Well, this isn't something I'm prepared to discuss," and read my report. And I suspect that's what he's going to do. He's going to say most of the time, I thank you for the question, Congressman. This is what I said in my report. I'm not prepared to go beyond what my report says. And that's what he said in that notorious press conference of his that he would do. So I predict we will get a Stonewall.
I think you're 100% right. I think we'll get a Stonewall. I think we'll get some more Russia meddled, rhetoric. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll go down that road pretty much whenever he has the opportunity to say Russia meddled, Russia meddled. So I think we'll get that. I think he'll try to throw in a couple of jabs, for the obstruction. He'll try to, throw out some hints here and there. Which the media, no doubt, wink, wink, they'll pick up on it and they'll run with it.
Yes.
So I think we can expect all of those things when he does testify. But my main question out of all of this is the Democrats they're moving this along. They want him to come in.
Yes.
Are they that stupid? I mean, they very well may be. They are. There are a lot of stupid Democrats right now. Yeah. Who are running the show. There's no doubt about that. But are they that stupid?
Well, it is stupid. I mean, let's just think about this a moment. I mean, you have a person appointed special counsel. He spends 2 years investigating a case. He writes a 448-page report, which is supposed to answer all the questions. He doesn't come up with the answer that you wanted, which is that there was collusion between Donald Trump's campaign and the Russians. He says there's no evidence of that. And then you want to question him? So he's going to say that all over again?
Why?
I mean, that doesn't seem to me
What do you think is the reason?
Actually.
What do you think is the reason for this?
Well, I mean...
I can't explain it.
I can't explain. Well, I mean, first of all, that there is, I suppose, there is the conspiratorial reason that there's something going on behind the scenes between the Democrats and Mueller, and that they've agreed on some kind of form of words that he's going to come along and give to the committees, which will give them a bit more red meat. I discount that. I think that's most unlikely. I think if Mueller does something like that, he's in serious trouble with the Justice Department, and I don't think in his own interests he would do such a thing. I think the other thing is that we have people like Nadler and Schiff who have got themselves so invested in this whole Russiagate conspiracy theory that it is incredibly difficult for them to back off, and they're still hoping and looking around for something they can get from Mueller to keep their own, well, I'm going to call it a witch hunt, because this is what it's now become now, definitely, that they can keep that alive and going. But I think there's also another thing here, which is I suspect there's some Democrats who are wanting to put more pressure on Pelosi because they want to start impeachment proceedings. Not because they, I suspect, expect that impeachment proceedings are going to succeed, but because this helps them in the ongoing struggles that are taking place within the Democratic Party in advance of the presidential elections next year. The one thing I predict this will do is that it will damage the the Democrats' prospects in those elections. Look at the opinion polls. Donald Trump's favorability ratings are about as high as they have ever been. I mean, he's actually doing well. His base is standing by him. I mean, there's no sign that any of this is eroding his position at all. On the contrary, he's looking really strong. So why continue down this particular rabbit hole in this way? It makes, electorally speaking, no political sense. But from his point of view, from Donald Trump's point of view, I mean, if they want to go down this road, the Democrats want to go down this road, keep this thing alive, keep this, go on talking about, what Donald Trump Jr. said to Natalia Veselnitskaya in Trump Tower, what Carter Page was up to when he went to Moscow and spoke to the new economic school.
The Moscow consulate in Miami. That doesn't exist.
The Moscow Council.
Cohen's trip to Czech Republic, which never happened. If they want to reheat all, the peak tape video in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, of which there is no proof. Christopher Steele's dossier. Well, of course, Mueller might not be too happy about. We can ask questions about that dossier, by the way. I mean, if they want to go down that, that's fine. And as I said, in the meantime, the Republicans can ask him all kinds of pointed questions, like, when did you know that Christopher Steele's dossier was a pile of nonsense? Why did you stop asking for FISA warrants against Carter Page in the summer of 2017? Was it because you knew that the basis of the evidence for seeking those FISA warrants was wrong? What really did happen with George Papadopoulos? Who is Stephen Halper? These are the real questions. Where is Professor Mifsud?
Where is Professor Mifsud? What is your evidence that Professor Mifsud was a Russian asset when all the evidence, in fact, points to him being a Western intelligence and probably a CIA asset? You want to ask, if you want to set it up so that the Republicans can ask all those questions, well, that's fine. I'm sure Donald Trump will be extremely pleased.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to welcome it. I'm sure Barr's going to welcome it as well. And I think you're exactly right. I mean, the American public, they have no interest in this. I mean, it's not even in the top 10 of their concerns. I mean, they're looking at immigration and healthcare and jobs and things like this. So, I mean,
and student loans.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think this is all about the impeachment thing, and because Nancy Pelosi has been dragging her feet, and Schumer, they're kind of dragging their feet on the impeachment. You have a lot of these Democrats that come from districts which are very heavy liberal, like say AOC.
Exactly.
Who, she comes from a district which is all liberals, and they're demanding for impeachment. So she's like, I've got to get this impeachment thing, moving. Yeah. That's why this is happening. No other reason, I think.
Exactly. I mean, it's internal Democrat Party politics. Yeah. But what it does is it shows why the Democrats are going to lose, I predict, in 2020, because instead of hitting Donald Trump on those issues which
on policy,
he's vulnerable on, they're just going over all this stale material, which all goes back to 2016, which they lost anyway. They're not talking about the things Americans are worried about. And can I just say something about
3 years,
that?
Russiagate, Alexander. 3 years.
3 years.
My
3
God.
years. Exactly. And I mean, can I just say something about that? You know, if you go back, if people, our viewers, go back and read some of the early articles that you and I were writing in the Duran in 2016 during the election. We started the Duran in May 2016, and we were covering it through the election. We were both saying it at the time that the Democrats are not talking about the things the American people are worried about. They're talking about Russia, Russia, Russia all the time. And most Americans are not interested in this subject. Some Americans are interested, but not enough to win an election, and not enough in the places that really matter. So, you know, it's fine, you know, to make people angry in, you know, places in New York and Boston and California. And, exactly. I mean, you can work people up there, but, you know, in the industrial towns in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, and wherever, where people's jobs are on the line, they see a president who talks about them, who speaks to them, who wages trade wars on their behalf. One may question the wisdom of that, but at least he's doing something. Who talks about immigration, illegal immigration into the United States. Again, one may question the way he's going about it, but again, he's addressing their concerns. And put that against people who talk about what Carter Page was talking about to Mr. Devyarkin, or whatever his name was, at the New Economics School back in August 2016. I mean, you know, where's the contest? I mean, you know, that's setting yourself up for a lose. And it's also putting Mueller, the person you've built up as this great champion. And by the way, if I may say so, the emails and the letters they sent to Mueller, the Democrats sent to Mueller, and the subpoenas are some of the most unctuous and, I mean, you know, toadying things that the Democrats have written. I mean, awful to read. But anyway, put all that aside. You know, this great hero that you built up, this hero with clay feet, you set him up for a fall. And how does that make any kind of sense?
Yeah,
none at all to me.
A hero who's lied in front of the Congress before when he testified that Iraq had WMDs. Let's not forget that Mueller has no problem lying to the American people.
Well, exactly. That's entirely right. So, as I said, I mean, you know, you're going to drag him before Congress, where he said he doesn't want to go. You're going to open him up to lines of questioning from the Republicans. They're going to be very carefully briefed over the next couple of weeks. I mean, we've got plenty of weeks between now and then for all sorts of Republican lawyers. You know, Dershowitz isn't a Republican, but I mean, DeGeneva, for example, yeah. They'll all be working. You know,
Chase Sekulow, DeGeneva, all these guys.
Yeah. Absolutely, Giuliani.
Yeah, Giuliani.
They'll all be there. Briefing the Republicans about the questions to ask. And as I said, I can easily see this turning into a mixture of a Stonewall and bloodbath.
Well, we'll definitely cover it because it's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
It certainly will.
Yeah. Tune into the Duran July 17th or probably July 18th, and you'll hear our blow-by-blow commentary. That's for sure.
Indeed. Well, indeed.
All right.
Well, indeed.
Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, click on that subscribe button. Click on that notifications bell. Also, make sure to hit that like button as well. Go to the Duran shop. Pick up mugs. Pick up shirts. Pick up whatever Alexander has lying around on his table.
Yeah.
Which mugs do you have? Your two trusted magic mugs.
I have my two trusted magic mugs here, Alex. This one is my my mug. As I said, this was more Catherine's, but this mug, I'm drinking tea from it at the moment. It's one of my favorite teas. It's called Tsimun or Kimun, sometimes it's pronounced. It's a Chinese tea. Developed in 1875 in China. It's a black tea, unusual for the Chinese. Some people people drink it with milk. I don't. It goes into English breakfast teas. It is a delicious tea, and it is marvelous in a mug like this. It is hugely refreshing. This mug enables it because it's a big mug. It's 15 ounces. You can have all the sort of fruitiness and complexity of this tea is able to express itself really well if you care about things like that, as I do. But I mean, you can drink any kind of tea from it, and it's enormously refreshing. And I sit here in front of my computer for many hours, and I drink all these wonderful teas late into the night until 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm a night owl, and I keep going on a diet of teas like this. And this other mug, which is, of course, the one with the, also, because both our mugs have the double-headed eagle, but this is our logo. This one has our logo, which is the double-headed eagle of the Duran, which looks east and west, covers all the geopolitical sides. But this is the mug with the logo of Moscow, which also has the double-headed eagle, and St. George slaying the dragon of fake news and untruths. I should make it very clear, that's not a Chinese dragon, which is a good dragon. This is a flying evil dragon, which embodies lies and untruth, and that's what we do at the Duran. And as you correctly pointed out to me, Alex, on a previous program that we did, these are not just beautiful mugs, they actually look beautiful. I mean, they are wonderful to drink from. They're wonderful to hold. They're enormously glossy. The logos are beautifully embossed, I think. Or
I mean, I can see the colors from my laptop here. They just look great.
And the people who've ordered them and have them, the feedback we're getting is excellent. So I mean, you know, they're wonderful mugs. They refresh you. They invigorate you. They give you all the ability, as I can vouch, to explore geopolitical news and to understand the intricacies of the Russiagate affair and Mr. Mueller's various devices with extraordinary facility, and they're magic mugs. And if you want to understand things and analyze them the way we do on the Duran, where you can buy such a mug, drink from such a mug, have your mind enlarged as our minds are enlarged, and you can support the Duran at the same time. And of course, as I work here at my laptop, what should I be wearing but my trusty, excellent Duran shirt, 100% cotton, long-sleeved as one needs on a wet day, as we're having in London at the moment. Very, very comfortable to wear. But we have polo shirts too. We have excellent shirts. They have the Duran logo, if people can see it. And it's 100% cotton, beautifully dyed, incredibly comfortable, perfect in every way, both to go out, to go out with, to go to socials in, to walk the dogs as I do, and to work in front of the computer. So it's a marvelous, all-purpose, really high-quality, excellent cotton shirt. And our polos are just as good. And if you want to support the Duran and wear something that's, you know, good quality and high fashion, well, you can order it from our shop.
There
and you can support the Duran too.
Excellent, excellent, Alexander. And people can also donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribestar as well. The links are in the description box down below. And you can get an audio copy of this video. Follow us on iTunes and on Soundcloud. And Alexander, for everyone that decided to listen to our merchandise infomercial that we have at the end, I have a question for you. It's like a bonus segment. I just finished watching a Paul Joseph Watson video where he, like, you know, looked over, he kind of gave his commentary on London today, how London is, how there's a spike in crime, the knife attacks, and all these things. Is it really like that now in London? Has London really had a big spike in crime? Are there knife attacks that have gotten that bad?
It's because
when I've been to London, I felt very safe, but I haven't been in years.
I know. Yeah, I know it has. We have had a big spike in in crime in London. It's not as safe as it was. The police force here is very disorganized, very demoralized. We're not getting strong leadership from the London government. Sadiq Khan, our mayor, doesn't seem to be very interested in this issue. He seems much more interested in saying rude things about Donald Trump. And in my area of London, which is in Queen's Park, it's a nice, and it's, suddenly we found, I mean, it used to be incredibly safe around here. Suddenly we see, as I said, there's been burglaries, there's been knife attacks quite close to where we are. And it's become much worse. I mean, I want to say, I mean, all these things are relative. I mean, there are American cities. I mean, I saw, the sort of crime rates in St. Louis and New Orleans and places like that, which I'm sorry to say, because I've heard they're great places, but apparently crime there is very bad. But London isn't perhaps as bad as that, but by
they say it's caught up to New York now, statistically.
Yeah, absolutely. Statistically, it has. By comparison with what it used to be, where it was one of the safest cities in the world, where police famously went about unarmed and people were always very polite. It's not like that anymore. I hope that it can be brought back to that, because I still think most people here are very law-abiding and very welcoming to and very willing to be honest and properly behaved in public. But as I said, there is a minority, and there doesn't seem to be much control over them.
All right, little bonus segment. Thank you, Alexander, very much. Thank you, everybody. Take care.